If I'm being honest, I don't have much of an idea of how I got here. Coming to Duke, I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but decided to gain some industry experience first. Truth be said, as an undergraduate student, none of us really has any good understanding of how companies work, let alone how to start one. So then, as an attempt to not specialize so early in one field and gain the most interdisciplinary experience possible, I became an investment banking summer analyst. Yes, an engineer, and then investment banker. But those are actually very connected. Let me explain how. So in engineering, essentially all you do is take a very, very complex problem and boil it down to the most simple questions you can find. From there, you model the behavior of the system you're studying and adapt it as necessary. You then forecast new necessities and brainstorm potential solutions. Bingo! That's when engineers come up with new ideas and create the products you and I see around. In investment banking, you do similar things, but instead of dealing with a product or a specific problem, you deal with an entire company. Instead of creating the iPhone, you help decide if Apple should acquire a semiconductor producer to make their production more efficient. And when the same company decides to go public and sell stocks to the market to raise more funds, you make this entire process happen. So this is what I'm doing this summer. Researching about companies and modeling their behavior to forecast if a certain merger, acquisition, or IPO would be the best. It's not rocket science, but it is also one of the most stressful and demanding jobs out there. On a slow week, expect to work 75 hours between Monday and Friday. On a busy week with lots of deals happening, expect to clock in over 100 hours. And everything you do is pivotal to ensuring the success of the companies you're working with and transactions that will make headlines. New tasks come in at any time, and they just somehow have to deal with multiple projects with tons of individual tasks due at essentially the same time. So how did I get here? You study a lot about how companies work, you study about their financials, and you prepare a lot for interviews. You have to go to pretty much every single networking session this company is hosting on their campus, and you have to get to know the people. After all, if you do get the job, you're going to be spending a lot of time with them. So if they like you and you seem like you know your stuff, you get invited to have a final round interview in New York City, if that's your final destination. And there, you have back-to-back interviews with some of the most challenging brain teasers and some of the most specific questions about the financial industry. And if you do well, you have the job. And then you enter a 9 to 10 week process, which is what I'm going through right now, and which is essentially a very extended interview process. After this internship, if you do well, you might get offered a return offer and come back for full time. The biggest challenge I faced in my internship was not having come from a finance background. As an engineering student at Duke, everything I had been working with so far was building robots and creating computer programs. And suddenly, I was navigating a world of business and creating financial models and presentations. I obviously missed my weeks of training because of my visa issues, but I still was able to catch up to speed with the other interns. It was definitely challenging, but the team was super welcoming and I had a lot of mentors I could go back to. So right now I still have 2 weeks left of my job, and I'm loving it all so far. It's been more challenging than I expected, but I've also learned a lot more than I thought it would. It's completely different than what I had been studying at Duke, and it totally gives me a new perspective on things. So let's hope for the best, and I'm looking forward to the end of the internship. There are a few jobs you can get out of undergrad in which you can make such an impact, and work on projects that truly define the future of companies around you. The thrill of working in such important deals, while also learning so much and being so challenged, is unlike no other industry. You learn a lot, and you definitely get to learn a great deal about how companies function and how they can be made better. And it doesn't limit me in any way in terms of what I want to do in the future. This is truly living the dream.